It's 11 at night. You're still at your desk. The emails keep coming, the deadlines keep stacking, and there's a weight behind your eyes. Not just tiredness, something heavier, something you've been carrying so long you forgot it wasn't normal. Earlier today, a colleague looked at you and said, "Hey, do you need help with any of that?" And before the question even finished, you heard yourself say, "No, I'm good. I've got it." You didn't think about it. It wasn't a decision. It was a reflex. Something tightened in your chest. Not pride, not stubbornness. Something older than that. And now you're sitting here, alone, overwhelmed, wondering why you feel so tired all the time when you're supposedly so capable. Here's the part most people won't tell you. That automatic, "I'm fine, I've got it," isn't strength. It's a pattern. And it didn't start with this job. It didn't start with this life. It started when you were very young. Not one dramatic moment, not one big event. It was the emotional texture of the house. Maybe your parent wasn't cruel. Maybe they weren't obviously neglectful. Maybe they were just tired, overwhelmed, carrying their own weight. But you noticed something. When you needed something, the room shifted. A sigh, a look, a subtle change in the air. No one said, "Don't ask for things." They didn't have to. You felt it. You watched what happened when you had needs, and you watched what happened when you didn't. And without knowing it, you ran an experiment. When you needed less, things were calmer. When you handled it yourself, no one got frustrated. When you stopped asking, the tension went down. So you adapted. You became self-sufficient. You became low maintenance. You became easy. You learned to scan the emotional weather before you ever opened your mouth. And honestly, that adaptation was brilliant. Not broken, brilliant. You were a child with limited options doing the smartest thing you could. The problem is, that system never got updated. Now you're an adult, still running software designed for a house you don't live in anymore. In adulthood, this pattern doesn't look like a wound. It looks like competence. You're reliable, capable, calm under pressure. People lean on you. But underneath that, there's a quiet exhaustion that never fully goes away. You carry everything alone. And then you feel confused when no one steps in. But you made sure they couldn't see the weight. You made it invisible. In relationships, it gets harder. Someone says, "You never let me in." And you genuinely don't understand. Because in your mind, you were protecting the relationship. You were keeping things smooth by never being a burden. But here's the paradox. The thing you do to keep people close is the exact thing that keeps them out. Intimacy requires vulnerability. Vulnerability requires need. And need is the one thing your system was built to hide. So the loneliness you feel isn't dramatic, it's structural. But I want you to hear this clearly. This pattern didn't just cost you something. It gave you something too. You stay calm when others panic. You think clearly in chaos. You hold space for people without collapsing. That's real strength. Your nervous system learned endurance very early. That's rare. The strength was never the problem. The problem is you never learned it was safe to set it down, even for a moment, even with someone safe. So if this feels familiar, you don't have to fix yourself. You adapted to something real. But the rule you wrote as a child, if I need less, I'm safer, that rule is still running. And your life now doesn't require it anymore. You are allowed to need things, not because you're weak, but because you always were allowed to. You don't have to change everything tonight. Just notice it, that reflex, that tightening in your chest. Notice it, because awareness is where the shift begins.